My name is Taylor and I am 32 years old. I divorced my ex-husband 3 years ago because he cheated on me. I just got remarried recently. Thanks to my new husband, I live happily every day. But because I'm happy every day, sometimes the hard times come back to haunt me. My ex-husband was a person who treated me like a housekeeper. I was tired from my office job too, but all the housework was left to me. If there was even a speck of dust on the floor, he would shout at me. He would not accept a meal unless there were at least 5 side dishes. If I cut corners even a little, he would leave the food uneaten. I'll never forget the time he got angry at me when I served him a dish I meal prepped in advance. And afterward, he would eat potato chips. And of course, I had to clean up the crumbs on the floor. Even though I did tell him what I had to, he would say, "What? A wife who doesn't do the housework is worthless." And they snigger at me. He kept saying other stupid things to me in a matter-of-fact way. My self-esteem was getting worse and worse. He wasn't like this before we got married. Just when I was getting fed up with these days, my ex-husband demanded a divorce. The reason was that he was having an affair. He didn't say who it was, and I had no interest in it. I was that exhausted. He said, "Fine. I'll get alimony in return." He agreed to pay me the amount of alimony I offered. We agreed to divorce, and I ended our short 2-year marriage. Speaking of which, how is Naomi? I stopped packing my belongings and whispered to myself. Now has been my best friend since high school. After the divorce, she listened to me and encouraged me a lot. I think I'll take her out for tea when I move out. I've been so busy that I haven't even told her I got remarried. When I got married, I had to move out because of my husband's work. So only my relatives know about my remarriage. I owe a lot to her. I have to tell her about it. Think about the fun things like this, not the hard things. I hummed to myself to get myself back on track. I started to pack my bags again. 2 months after we moved in, I was enjoying my afternoon tea, looking at a magazine. I've got a job and I'm getting used to it. I started to think about meeting Naomi again. It's fun just looking at restaurants and cafes to go with her. First of all, we need to get in touch and check each other's schedules. It had been a long time since we last met, and I was secretly nervous. I picked up my phone to send a message to Naomi. Suddenly, the ringing of the intercom echoes in the quiet room. I've just moved here and don't know anyone. I looked into the intercom to see if it was a solicitor or something. It was a police officer standing there. I tilted my head and wondered if there was some kind of incident. I answered and opened the front door. We have been approached several times by a man who claims that you are stalking him. Do you have any idea what this could be about? I was speechless at the unexpectedness of it all. The man has been receiving writing from me almost every day, telling him how much I love him. A letter was written, "I love you," all over the letter, sent to his letterbox almost every day. I told him I'd only just moved to the area and I thought he had the wrong person. But apparently, the man who was being stalked named me spot on as the culprit. And so, the officer was forced to check. I even asked the officer who he was, but the officer just bowed his head apologetically. I'm sorry, we've had some consultations and we just wanted to check. I can't tell you the name of the person you're talking to yet. I was puzzled by that, but I told myself was the officer's job, so I had no choice. I calmed myself. I had no recollection of what had happened, so I just had to keep my head down. After all, I had just moved in that day. He was convinced. If we find out anything, we'll come back to you. And with that, the officer left. After all that, I dived into my bed. I just kept flapping my legs and pressing my face into the pillow. The fact that someone had named me Spot On was creepy. Unspeakable discomfort enveloped my whole body. Why? Why? I'm scared. I was very confused, and the next thing I know, the sun is setting. I was thinking of texting Naomi, but I was no longer in the mood. I sighed heavily and got up to take in the laundry. I was pensive about yesterday. I talked to my husband, who came home shortly after the officer had left. He encouraged me, saying there must have been a mistake. That helped me regain my normal self, but when my husband leaves for work and I'm alone, the depression comes back little by little. Just then, I get a call on my phone, a number I do not recognize. I could have ignored it, but I had a bad feeling about it, so I picked up the phone. Taylor, it's been a while. I gasped at the familiar voice. It was my ex-husband. My ex-husband chuckles at my silence. I hear you still haven't admitted to stalking me. I'm appalled at the police. I told them to nail you firmly. Those words instantly made me realize that yesterday's events were my ex-husband's fault. You made a crazy call to the police, didn't you? My ex-husband affirmed my question. You moved near me because you're still hung up on me, right? Even my friends are surprised at how creepy you are. He's talking nonsense. My ex-husband, who was always strangely confident, I know he's probably saying that with a smug look on his face, which makes me even more angry. And from what he's saying, he's probably telling everyone around him that his ex-wife is stalking him. Me stalking him? You've got to be kidding me. I'm trying to maintain my composure, but my blood is rushing to my head. It's been 3 years since we married. What are you talking about? Besides, I've already remarried. I tried to be strong, but my ex-husband just laughed at me, like it was a lie that wouldn't work. I'll have to go to the police and sort this out directly. My ex-husband says, and he suggests we talk about it at a diner. Fine, I've got nothing to be guilty about. I was angry, so I accepted the call and I went to the restaurant. Now I think about it, it was thoughtless and I regret it. When I arrived at the restaurant, my ex-husband was waiting for me at the entrance. Unlike the old days, he was wearing a nice suit that even I could recognize. Taylor, you've become somewhat beautiful, haven't you? The scent of perfume wafted from my ex-husband's body as he stared at me, and it stung my nose. Don't mention it. I raised my eyebrows at him and he shrugged. So you're still as pretty as ever on the inside? I only thought in my head that it was none of his business. I followed him. I head for the seat he says he's already saved for us. My eyes widened when I saw someone I hadn't expected to see sitting there. Naomi, why are you here? Yes, my best friend Naomi was sitting there. My ex-husband and Naomi looked at each other and laughed. Don't be jealous because I'm happy with Naomi now. My ex-husband hugged Naomi's shoulder. On his arm is a luxurious wristwatch, shining in an unbecoming manner. Oh, this? I'm president of a company now. Well, that's thanks to Naomi. After divorcing me, he got engaged to Naomi and set up his own company, with the support of her parents. The business is going well and has become stable. I honestly don't care about that. I couldn't believe my ears when I heard the word rebuild. She knows I've been through a lot, and Naomi has remarried this man. I was so confused. You invited me to your wedding, Taylor, and I was so surprised. And I thought what a wonderful husband she got herself. I've always disliked you in the first place. You're not even that pretty, but everyone likes you. So I pretended to be your best friend, and thought that one day I'd kick you down. Naomi smiles without any hint of evil. Every time I met Muhammad, we talked about how he should have met me before Taylor. The look of happiness on Naomi's face as she cuddled up to Muhammad made me want to vomit. Naomi was the one who encouraged me after the divorce. At that time, she must have been listening with the same ugly expression on her face as she has now. She gives me a look of triumph. She fell in love with Muhammad at first sight at my wedding. On the day of the wedding, I secretly gave him my contact details and got close to him. My ex-husband immediately fell in love with Naomi. What was worse was the fact that Naomi was the one telling my husband to harass me. No wonder Muhammad's character suddenly changed after our marriage. I didn't realize that they'd both been enjoying what I was suffering from for so long. You wouldn't give in at all, so eventually, I gave Muhammad the alimony and made him confront you with the divorce, haha. Naomi, as if she's tired of talking, sucks up her orange juice through a straw. Naomi helped my ex-husband pay the alimony he owed me. That was the first time I knew that. So, to the main question. Will you stop following Muhammad around? I was surprised when I saw you the other day. I didn't expect you to move in here to stalk Muhammad. It's been 3 years since we divorced, and you're still creepy. Unlike your marriage with Muhammad, we're enjoying a happy married life. So give it up already. From the way Naomi spoke, it was likely that she had moved to this area because she had seen me. And Naomi seems to believe that I moved in to stalk my ex-husband. I don't care if she doesn't believe me anymore. My mind wasn't on it. It's all I can do to keep my hands off this man and this woman in front of me. I'm not stalking him. I'm not interested in that kind of man. That's all I said, and I got up to leave. I heard Naomi laughing behind me, but I didn't look back. Nearly 2 months later, I got a call from my ex-husband. I thought it must be about time, so I picked up the phone. My ex-husband on the other end of the phone was panicked. I couldn't help but smirk a little bit. What's wrong? I knew exactly what was wrong. It seems it's true. That you've been the victim of a stalker. Except it wasn't me. It was the person you're currently having an affair with. And what's more, after he remarried Naomi, he was cheating on her. He was playing around with her, and then she fell out of love with him and stalked him. This was what happened. My ex-husband, who was terribly upset by my words, told me what had happened, with all his excuses. He knew that the stalker was the work of the affair partner. But if Naomi found out and they got divorced, he would lose the financial support of Naomi's parents. Then he heard from Naomi that I just moved to nearby. He set me up as a stalker to deceive Naomi. It was Naomi's suggestion to send the police to my house, and to call me to the restaurant afterward. Muhammad couldn't resist. Lie after lie after lie. And this is what happens. It's a lousy thing, which is very Muhammad-like. I'm sorry I set you up as a stalker. But that doesn't mean you have to do this. On the other end of the phone, my husband's voice was distressed. He's currently in the middle of a fight. There is a banging on the door and a woman's voice, that seems to be Naomi's, is heard on the other end of the phone. He must have locked himself up in his room, judging from the situation. It's a shameful thing. I just told Naomi the truth, for the love of my ex-best friend. What Muhammad means by, "You didn't have to do this," is probably because I sent a sure photo to Naomi, with a letter saying that I was going to claim alimony for the affair, and ask for your kind attention. The photo shows my ex-husband's current love affair, stalking Muhammad, and a photo of the stalker and Muhammad entering a hotel arm in arm. You're still being stalked, but go to a hotel with her. I'm surprised, I said in disgust. I don't have a choice. I was threatened that if I didn't see her, she'd go and tell Naomi to divorce me. The reason why I have all these photographs is thanks to my husband. My husband is a detective. He's decided to open his private agency. He moved to this area with me. But I had no idea that his first job, after opening his agency, would be about my ex-husband. Muhammad had a real stalker. And my husband found out about it to prove me innocent. He also saved evidence of an affair between the stalker and Muhammad in the process. I can't thank my husband enough. Oh, and by the way, I'm charging you and Naomi alimony. What? My ex-husband said, you knew who the stalker was, and yet you named me. And then you went around telling people about it. Oh, no. My ex-husband was at a loss for words, so I hit him even harder. I was just about to put our marriage behind me, and then you did something to gouge out the wound. You're going to pay for this. Just after I heard my ex-husband's pathetic whimpering, I hear a tremendous noise and a woman's angry shouts from the other end of the phone. It appears that Naomi has broken down the door and entered the room. In the distance, who were you sneaking around talking to? And shortly afterward the phone switched to Naomi's voice. She'd snatched her ex-husband's phone. Who are you? Are you the stalker bitch? No, it's not. It's Taylor. I thought she'd calm down when she found out it was me on the other end of the phone with her ex-husband. She's still ranting emotionally, apparently angry, about the fact that I've charged her alimony for the affair. Don't be silly. Why do I have to pay alimony now? I told Naomi exactly what I had been told by the lawyer my husband had referred me to. If you are divorced because of cheating and did not know who the other person was, it is possible to claim alimony until 3 years have passed from the time she found out about the other party. I've just told your husband that I would be filing a claim for alimony for defamation. Naomi was in tears. You are money grubber, don't take my happiness away. You only got back what you did, didn't you? She told my ex-husband to bully me out of his life. Just because she didn't like me. After the divorce, she played as my good best friend and was laughing behind my back. I will never forgive you, Naomi. I'm not paying alimony. When I was called out to the restaurant, I had a voice recorder in my bag. I switched it on to take proof. Unexpectedly, I found out that Naomi was the love affair in my divorce 3 years ago. I have it on tape. I'm recording this phone call right now as well. Yes, because no matter what you say, you will pay for what you've done. If necessary, I will use this audio as evidence. Naomi and her husband will pay for what they've done. I also included my lawyer's business card in the photos I sent you, didn't I? From now on, you'll have to go through that lawyer. I hang up the phone without hearing Naomi's reply. With a muffled click, I felt like I could finally say goodbye to my divorce of 3 years ago. Thanks to the lawyer my husband referred me to, I was able to make my ex-husband and Naomi pay almost all the alimony I wanted. Naomi was disowned by her parents when they found out about the alimony. The stalker came into my ex-husband's company and his affair came to light. My ex-husband lost his social credibility and Naomi's parents were no longer supporting them. Even now, the ex-husband and Naomi are having a difficult time with the affair partner who was stalking them. I'm sorry you had so much trouble shortly after moving in. My husband is very supportive of me. I've put my husband through a lot of trouble this time. I want to cherish this person who smiles kindly at me like this. I will enjoy the peaceful time that has finally come to us together.